It was a warm summer afternoon in Frankfurt, Germany, July 31st, 2001. People were out walking along the banks of the Main River. Just an ordinary Tuesday, when they spotted something in the water. It was a girl. She was naked. She was bound, and tied to her body was a patio umbrella stand, used as a weight to keep her underwater. She looked about 15 or 16 years old. She weighed just 85 pounds. And nobody, not a single person in the entire world, had reported her missing. She had no name, no identity, no one to claim her. For the next 25 years, she would be known only as the girl from the Main. When Frankfurt investigators arrived at the scene and the medical examiner began her autopsy, what they found wasn't just the story of how this girl died. It was the story of how she had lived. And it was devastating. Her arms had been broken in the past and had healed badly, meaning she never received proper medical treatment, never saw a doctor, never went to a hospital. Her legs, her upper body, her forehead, covered in long, old scars. She had burn marks on her skin, consistent with cigarettes being pressed against her. Her left ear had been so repeatedly injured that it was severely damaged. This wasn't the story of one act of violence. This was a lifetime of it. Investigators determined she had died sometime in the 3 days before her body was found. The cause of death? 2 broken ribs from a brutal beating, which then punctured her lung and damaged her spleen. She didn't die quickly. She suffered. She was thrown into that river like she was nothing, tied down so no one would ever find her. Here's what makes this case haunt investigators even now. More than 2 decades later, this girl had been living, possibly right there in Germany, in the Rhine-Main region, for years. Years of abuse, years of suffering, and not one person ever called the police. Not one person ever said, asterisk, I'm worried about this child. Asterisk. So who was she? Where did she come from? And who did this to her? Stay with me, because this story does not end in the river. From the beginning, German investigators were working with almost nothing. No name, no fingerprints on file, no missing persons report anywhere that matched her description. But they kept going, based on her physical features and other details. Investigators believe the girl likely originally came from the Pakistan-Afghanistan border region, but crucially, they suspected she had been living in the Rhine-Main area of Germany for years. Their theory? She may have been brought over and kept as a maid or domestic servant, hidden inside a household cut off from the outside world. Police appealed to the public on Aktenzeichen XY Ungelost, Germany's version of America's Most Wanted, and the response brought in tips, but nothing solid enough to identify her. They put up posters in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and northern India, in churches, in community centers, in places where someone, anyone, might recognize her face. Officers went door to door, speaking to women from those communities living in Germany. And then one of those conversations stopped investigators cold. A woman, when shown information about the case, reportedly looked at them and said, "Why are you making such a fuss? It's just a girl." That sentence, right there, that was the moment investigators understood something chilling, that in certain places, in certain communities, the murder of a girl simply didn't matter. It wasn't a scandal. It wasn't an outrage. It was nothing. Despite that heartbreaking roadblock, investigators refused to let her disappear completely. But the leads dried up, the tips slowed down, and eventually, as happens in so many cases, the file went cold. The girl from the Main became a ghost, a name that wasn't even a name. For over 20 years, she lay in a grave without an identity. But here's the thing about cold cases. They don't always stay cold forever. In 2024, more than 2 decades after that girl was pulled from the river, her case was added to an international initiative called the Identify Me campaign. The campaign focuses specifically on identifying women found murdered across 6 European countries. Women who died violently, but whose names were never known. Women the world forgot. The goal is simple and powerful: give them back their names. And it worked. Through a combination of key tips from the public, advances in forensic technology, and years of painstaking investigative work, the Hessian State Criminal Police, the state investigators for the Hesse region of Germany, where Frankfurt is located, finally broke through. The unidentified girl from the Main had a name. She was Diana S., 16 years old, from Offenbach, a city just a few miles east of Frankfurt. She hadn't come from across the world. She had been right there, in a city just down the road. And for 25 years, no one had reported her missing. Think about that for a second. A 16-year-old girl, gone since July 28, 2001 at the latest. Her body found in a river 3 days later. And for 25 years, no missing persons report, no family member coming forward, no one asking, where is Diana? What does that tell you about the life she was living? What does that tell you about the people around her? On May 12, 2026, just days ago, the Hessian state criminal police made an arrest. A 67-year-old man, a German citizen, born in Pakistan, Diana's father. He is accused of beating his 16-year-old daughter to death inside the family's apartment in Offenbach, sometime between July 28 and July 31, 2001. After she died, investigators believe he bound her body, weighed it down with a patio umbrella stand, and dumped her into the main river. On the day of his arrest, the Frankfurt District Court ordered him held in pretrial detention on suspicion of murder. If convicted, he faces a life sentence in a German prison. Now, it's important to be clear about where this case stands right now. This man has been arrested and charged. He has not yet been convicted. Under German law, as under American law, he is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. The investigation is ongoing. It's only been days since the arrest. Investigators still have open questions. Was anyone else involved? Why did no one report Diana missing for a quarter century? What exactly happened inside that apartment? Those answers may come in the weeks and months ahead. Diana was 16 years old. She weighed 85 pounds. Her arms had broken and healed wrong because no doctor ever treated her. She had scars and burns all over her body. And when she died, brutally, in an apartment in Offenbach, no one called the police. No one looked for her. For 25 years, the world moved on without ever knowing her name. But investigators didn't give up. The people who worked this case, who put up posters in 3 countries, who knocked on doors, who sat with a Jane Doe for decades, they didn't let her become nothing. And in 2026, the world finally knows her name. Diana. Say her name. If this story moved you, hit that like button. It genuinely helps more people find this case and learn Diana's name. Subscribe so you never miss a story like this. And drop a comment below. After 25 years, do you believe justice is finally coming for Diana? I read every single one. I'll see you in the next one.